I've been working on something for the past 3 months, and I think I'm finally ready to show you guys what that is. You know, one of the hardest parts about Mandarin Chinese? Hearing the tones, producing the tones. Not only that, but there are tons of tone changes that happen in context as well. And that has bothered me for years. And apparently it bothered me so much that I accidentally spent the last 3 months designing an app to solve precisely that problem. This is what I ended up building. An app where you can record yourself speaking and get immediate feedback on which tones went wrong and how to make it sound more natural. But before I tell you how it works, I should probably explain how this whole thing happened. So before I started making linguistics videos online, I taught Mandarin for several years. And one thing kept happening. Students didn't just struggle with memorizing tones, they struggled to apply them while speaking naturally. So normally each character has a pinyin and tone attached to it, but spoken Mandarin doesn't really work like that. In spoken Mandarin, each character's pitch changes depending on the words in front of it, the word boundaries, and a lot of characters even have multiple readings for the same character. And so there's always this thought just nagging me in the back of my mind like, hey, why don't I make an app that helps Mandarin learners with this precise problem? But making an app costs money. And you guys already know I cannot code to save my life, so the idea was just an idea. But that was a few years ago, and technology has apparently skyrocketed since then. And I've been getting ads left and right saying you can make any app just by talking to it, what they call vibe coding. And I thought, I mean, what's the worst that could happen, right? I waste $20 and nothing happens.
A few moments later.
So I ended up using an app called Replit. My idea for this app was a learner could upload a voice recording of them speaking Chinese, and then a reviewer would be able to listen to it and give feedback on exactly what they pronounced incorrectly. So I was able to make a pretty clean looking landing page. I made a dashboard for learners and a dashboard for reviewers. But then I tried using it, and that's when things hit the fan. There were so many things I had to learn for the first time, like what an AI credit was, or what environment variables are, or secret keys and webhooks, and so many things. And so every time I tried to fix something, that would fix, but then a whole bunch of other problems would start to happen. And one of the biggest problems with the whole app was trying to figure out how feedback would actually work. Because originally I wanted each and every voice recording to be reviewed by a native speaker. A learner would record something, upload it, and I would personally review it. But I started to realize that it isn't very efficient to write your tone 4 sounds like a tone 1 100 times. I had to type that manually every time. So I decided to make a system for common error tags where I could just, pick from a drop-down whenever that error popped up. But in the back of my mind, I knew that even that wasn't feasible. Because even if I just got 50 to 100 recordings a day, and let's say each recording took me 5 to 10 minutes to review, that would be me spending 8 hours every day reviewing voice recordings. And so I had a horrible realization that if the app actually succeeded, if I actually got users to use it regularly, I would have accidentally created a full-time job for myself where I just spend my entire life reviewing voice recordings. As dramatic as it sounds, but that absolutely terrified me. So I thought, okay, what is the next best option? Well, I guess there are pronunciation feedback APIs that I can take a look at. And some systems obviously gave very much incorrect feedback. One system told me my deliberately bad pronunciation was almost perfect.
你是一个大坏蛋。
I was genuinely ready to throw in the towel. at that point. I was exhausted. I had spent, like $400 into Replit already. I decided that I was not going to be the reviewer for this. There was no way to keep this thing going. And that's when I discovered Speech Super. And so what stood out to me was that it was a team from China consisting of engineers and linguists, and they had spent decades working specifically on speech analysis. And so I tried it out, and the feedback ratings were eerily accurate. They were pretty much the same as what I would give someone myself. And so I reached out to their team immediately to try a practice demo. The app just started working. The app is honestly really simple. So you record yourself saying a sentence or a phrase in Mandarin, and then you get an accuracy score for each of the characters, the initial, the final, and the tones. For the sounds that aren't entirely accurate, it'll tell you specifically what the issue is, and common errors will have a pop-up that tell you exactly how to fix it. You can save the error to your practice list, which then you can practice at any time. And it was working the way I'd intended it to. But I could tell that something was missing. One idea I became obsessed with while building this app was the idea of how do you make language learning feel continuous? Because most language learning apps you only open occasionally. You do a few exercises, you close the app. There's really no emotional connection or attachment. But speaking a language is actually really personal. I've been learning Korean for about 15 years now, and one thing I regret is that I didn't record myself speaking more. I'm sure I improved a lot, over the years. I wish I had recordings of myself from, my first year of learning, my 5th year of learning, my 10th year of learning, and there's honestly no way to get that back. And so, when the improvements happen gradually, you don't necessarily notice that it's happening, but, you're always improving the more time you spend on a language. So I eventually realized that this app shouldn't just be a pronunciation trainer. It should also be a voice journal, a place where you and your language and that relationship you have can get archived over time. Now, to be absolutely clear, this app is still absolutely held together by duct tape. But in the last 100 times I've tried the latest iteration, it has not broken down. It's working almost exactly the way I had envisioned it, and I think it's finally time to share it with you guys. If you want to practice tones, pronunciation, or just feel more comfortable speaking Mandarin, you can try it out right now. And there is a totally free version where you can just kind of try it out and get your toes wet. And if you find it useful, there's also a paid version that will help keep the servers running and the APIs happy and the lights on in this digital project. And so if you do use it, please let me know if something breaks. I will not be upset. Every suggestion is just going to help me make the app better. So yeah, I hope that Marlow can be a part of your Mandarin learning journey, whether it's for 5 minutes or 5-10 years. Yeah, so that is the end of this video. It's been a very interesting, strenuous, frustrating, but rewarding 3 months. I really hope the app will help you guys in some way. See you next time. Bye-bye.